do for technology. And it's cost prohibitive to like do equipment rental, you know, because what they would spend to like rent stuff for an event, what they'd spend like on 2 events, they could have just done the room, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So yeah, so we're looking at like it's like 4 or 5 conference rooms, a boardroom, a command center, and a like a special there's a training room, but I don't know if they'll do anything with the training room anytime soon. It's their last
That really
priority.
big one. That's
Well,
the
no,
first.
there's a training room that's like a divide combined, but it's kind
Oh.
of their last priority because however it's set up, it works,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for what their needs are in that space. But then there's like the big specialty space where they do like events, they do summer camps, they
Mm-hmm.
do town hall meetings, they host chamber events, you know, they do all kinds of stuff in that space.
Yep.
And it has really antiquated, you know, technology. There's no mics in the ceiling, you know, there's nothing. I don't know why they've waited so long. So I've quoted it, and you know, we went. You went with us, right?
Like those. Yeah.
When you were here last time, yeah.
Yeah. The first
So
time.
you know, so we demoed in that specialty room, um, and he was just like, you know, the CEO, like whoever it is that needs to make the decision. Um, I think he just needs more hands on, you know, with it. And that was why he asked, can we just set up a proof of concept, like in the HR conference room, like
Yep.
somewhere where it's going to get used every day? Because HR and finance use that conference room. And he's like, it's getting used the
Yep.
most.
Yep.
That way that even the C-level, and it's right next to the boardroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he's like, they can pop in and use it and see what they think and, you know, be able to get them to sign off on it. Because he thinks that instead of them doing one room at a time, if they do this and like it, he thinks that he'll just be like, let's just do them, you know.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and it makes sense because they don't have any Teams room before, so they maybe have some worries about it, the future will be like, and the experience they can be. So
Well, I mean, I told him, I said, I just can't imagine they're not gonna like it because they have nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
You know, they're gonna love it because it's just gonna be like, God, why haven't we done this already?
Yeah.
And then not only that, but by waiting a few years, they actually ended up with a more affordable solution.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because when we very first started doing, you know, conference rooms and boardrooms, we couldn't do them for the price point that we can do them now.
Yeah.
You know, heck, even just the displays are a lot more affordable than what they used to be.
Yep. Yes.
You know,
exactly.
You can get a 75-inch commercial display for less than what I paid for my first plasma TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly, it's way cheaper than before. Oh, Joey.
I know it's taking everybody so long.
Yeah.
Usually they're like,
Let me take go to the.
I think I could tell David's on a call.
There we go. Amy is helping me order the food to side, and having the pizza.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Amy is
Amy.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. Amy went to go get it. Yeah.
Yeah, she has already go to get the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. See you on the AutoZone this afternoon, huh?
No, we
No.
were gonna go yesterday, but the displays didn't arrive until yesterday, and we can't get anybody over there to like. There's no sense in him and I going to set up a Teams room if there's no displays to come up to. So, but Brandon and Jesus are gonna go install it on Monday. So I just told Jack we'll just have to set up we need to set up like a remote, you know, where he can, because I mean we've demoed this stuff for Taurus already.
Yeah.
So I think, and Taurus is pretty bright. So I mean, I think that we can just set up like a remote session to kind of walk through it and make sure everything's okay. He did say that the facilities people hadn't yet done the drop for the scheduling panel outside the door. And I was like, well, ideally it'd be nice if that was there before Monday.
Yeah.
I was like, but if it's not,
You can just plug it into a jack somewhere.
I was like, you know,
Yeah.
right, exactly. I'm like, if it's not, you know, at least we can get everything else set up. But I mean, is a scheduling panel easy enough that if facilities did it later, can actually walk them through?
Sure.
I mean,
there's
he's pretty tech savvy. I would think he could probably self-install that, right? Yeah.
Well, on the install side, we can handle that a couple different ways. Usually when IT or low voltage contractors pull network, they'll drop it on a biscuit
Uh-huh.
and just leave it up above the ceiling somewhere.
That's
Okay.
true.
So we can drop a cable down, at least go ahead and get it connected in and just have that ready to go. I'll just plug it in.
Yeah.
Tyrus does do a lot of the, like, he'll just take a scheduling panel and set it up in his system. It doesn't require us to commission it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting an account, right?
And
Sounds
he's
good.
used to doing that all day, every day.
And then we're gonna do North Central on Tuesday. But that one will be easy since they just have the display already on the cart. Well, hopefully they already have it.
I'll pop over here and ask David if he can go ahead and come over. I think I originally just put it for 12, so.
Did you see what time our flight is?
Was it 6:30?
It's 6:10.
6:10.
Do you know what the most busiest time at the International Airport is? From 4 a.m. to 6:10.
Is there
4 a.m.
So that's the busiest time out of the 24 hours that the airport is open. From 4 to 6 is the absolute busiest time at our airport.
Gosh.
And you know, I got lazy during the pandemic. I just got really spoiled. I was flying all the time during the pandemic because I had projects in LA and DC, and I would be like the only person on the plane flying to DC, like me and one other passenger. You know, I would pull up to the airport and have like a 6:45 a.m. flight, literally parking at like 5:50, and I would just stroll right on through security, like.
Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't even have like the maze. You would just like walk up, you know, just walk up, walk right up to my gate, walk straight onto the plane. Like there was no waiting, right? But it was like that for 2 straight years.
Yeah.
And then just all of a sudden, just like overnight, you know, like 3 months later, I showed up for a flight and I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna go a little earlier this time. I just had a weird feeling like some people had gone on some vacations and stuff. Y'all, I got there. I got the very last parking spot in the entire garage, and it was in the basement, and it was like wedged between the wall and like
you do some
a
running?
work, you know, right? And I think I was either pregnant with Addie or I had just had Addie, and I mean, I'm hauling ass trying to get in there. It took me like an hour and a half to get through security because I was flying a good bit, but not really enough to justify the whole TSA thing, you know. I'm like,
Pre-check.
I mean, if I only fly like 3 times a year, is like that. Do I really need to do it? You know, I had told myself, I'm like, if I get to the point to where I'm flying more than once a quarter, I'm gonna do it. But then I never really quite got there. And then the whole having to renew it every year too. It was just kind of like, I don't know about that.
Mhm.
But I got there.
These layouts real quick.
I was the last person to walk on like through the terminal. Like the whole plane had already boarded, but they hadn't closed the door yet.
Oh dang.
And I'm like hauling ass coming down the thing, and I walk on. I sat down, and I kid you not, like
Door closed.
I sat down, the door closed, and the plane starts moving.
We're waiting on you.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. And I'd given myself like an hour and 45 minutes. But for 2 straight years prior, I hadn't needed more than like 45 minutes, you know? So when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, why? 6:10. We're all on the same flight. And I'm like, you're going to put us on the 6:10 flight, and then you put us on Southwest, so I don't even get a comfortable chair? Like, I was really hoping for Delta. The Delta to Orlando planes are nice. You know, like they're the more cozy ones.
Yeah. Trying to think, I think the last time I flew was last summer, or last September maybe.
Well, we're going to get there so freaking early, we can't even check into the hotel.
You're right. Yeah, it's gonna be early.
I was like, Jason, what are we going to do? And he was like, we're going to drop our bags off at the hotel and we're going to go have mimosas. Okay. I guess.
Yeah. Will others join us today or just 3 of us?
David is actually walking over here. John may pop in a bit,
Mhm.
but I think you're going to mostly have 4 of us in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, can we start it or just wait?
You can.
He's coming right now.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Oh.
start. Yeah.
What system are you demoing for cars and offices?
Morning, David. Good morning, how are you,
Um,
sir?
Is it Sorry. Go ahead.
No napping today.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna do my best.
Nudge you if you start falling asleep.
Yeah. Or
I might need a nap today.
You haven't eaten yet, so you should be able to stay awake.
the little backhand to the back of the head is what my father used to do.
All right.
He would turn his class around,
Oh, no.
and then
Oh.
tap you on top of the head.
That's not nice.
I think that causes TBI, doesn't it?
It probably does.
My dad, his middle finger, he somehow severed it, like as a teenager, and had to have it like sewed back on so it doesn't have any filling past this knuckle. And so he would use that to like you know, like on your
Really
head
hits
or
you-
your chest
really
or to
hits
get
you
your
pretty hard
attention.
'cause it
Oh
didn't
yeah,
bother
because you
him.
can't feel it.
Talon.
You'd have like we'd have little purple circles poking us with them.
Yeah, think we can get started for
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for having me again. Great to be back to this office again. So last quarter we have a chance to talk about new products for you, and this quarter we also have some new products in the coming quarter. So this year we have so many products going to be rolled out listed. Like we have the camera, seeing mic, we also have the controller and the AV hub, not AV hub, AV switch, and encoder decoder. So in the coming future, we have this year, I think this year. So we have a more stocked solution can cover all the video conferencing, no matter from the visual room or the room control things, we can totally provide one stop for that. So today I have some updates for you. And then Memphis is the best office we have been working with. We have several projects here and we have won a lot of projects. So, but I was still learning your business since I have been to the John's, Grand Rapids, the teams there to the business, but it's still figuring out some difference in each office. So I'm trying to do that. And the first thing I'd like to just give a quick recap is that if you have any emergency support you need, you can always hit the hotline. This hotline is dedicated for the CTI. So like when you're designing the solution or your installer engineer goes to the site and has some issue on that, you can tell it, you can call this hotline. This is really useful for you. And another group channel, and then you already been quite familiar with that, so I won't take too much time on that. And we have won quite lots of projects since this year. So like here you can see like Methodist and Kansas and Barcelona in Memphis. So we have a great success in the Memphis office, and we're trying to provide differentiate support. Like from other vendors, we would like to provide the co-designs and demands requirements for you, especially like we have worked with the Cayman, Jerry, and also projects we have been working on that ways. So makes you have a really responsive the feedbacks from our ends to provide the especially when you are competing with the SPLS system, that kinds of company, they can provide more responsive the feedback to the customer, and they can maybe like, oh, this is the feedback, the service we can get from the CTI and from the ENA. Yeah. And just a quick recap for the deal registration. So we can provide up to 14% discounts for the standard project, but if the project is really large, we can case by case to provide more discounts. But right now, standard is up to 14% discounts, and the standard for warranty is 2 years, but for CTI all projects 3 years. So this is then another recap. So for total margin, I can up to 49 to 59 margin for the project. So this is quick recap for that. Yeah, and for the solution ones, last quarter we have MVC S40 Plus. They cannot start on A40 and the system. But right now, this quarter we have the S50 and A50 and the meeting bar and the MVC for the large room. So like you can A40 can work up to 25 feet. So from 20 feet to 25 feet. Previous we just have the A30. That kind of stuff. Meeting bar is not working very well, but this time we have the A40 50. And the certification progress is in the headquarters still program team, Mike. He's doing the certification for that, and I think it's going to be ready soon. And next quarter, we have another version for the large room. We call it X90, and the camera will be this one. We call it Smart Vision 80. But it doesn't mean we are going to end off the sales for the S90. It doesn't mean that. We are just extended our working range from the 30 to 40 feet. That kind of wider working range for the camera.
Is it just adding another camera? Is that the primary difference between, or is it a different camera model between the S90 and 98?
The camera will be the primary difference.
Okay.
Yeah. And we also have upgrades on the core, but the current one we are using is M-Core Pro, but later we have already launched M-Core 4, the new generation. Later I will make an brief introduction about the model. And this is the key difference between the X90 and the X98. And we also have a Meeting Board Pro. So it has the 65, 75, 86 inch. The Meeting Board Pro just have the first generation, just have the 65 and 86. Another one is 750. I think in the Memphis we have some projects. It has already also in there. So I think you have been familiar with that. So I think the first one I will start with the A40 in this meeting part is more useful for Chelsea, especially when you don't need very complicated design, this kind of stuff. A50, so it has a triple eyes camera, and it can walk up to 26 from the camera side, up to 26 feet. And so it has 3 cameras, and one is the middle one is the wide angles camera, and the both side is the tail length. And it has the it's able to, for the voice pickup, is also to support the 26. So in this kind of room, like you have the Poly X72, that kind of stuff, you can put this model in it. And from the air feature side, it wouldn't have a really new feature, but from the chips, we have upgrade on the chips. So from the experiments, it will be much more fit on that. And A40 don't provide the USB mode, like the BYOD mode. So suppose like the customer purchase the A40, they are not able to work as the USB mode to the M-Core. But A50 have the capability to work as the USB mode. So suppose the customer purchased A40 at the beginning, and later you would like to use the Windows version, they just add on the M-Core directly. They don't return or purchase then another one. Yeah. So this is the linkage for the link between the A50 to the M-Core. So this is quite simple. Just the direct connected to the M-Core. So just a diagram to show that how it will work. And all the A40 and A50 is Android 13 support. So which means that if the customer care about the OS version, that this one is really update for this. So A50 can work as the host mode to host the meeting, and work as the USB mode to the M-Core. So this is the new feature.
Now, did you say the A40 will operate in that USB mode as well?
No, A40 doesn't support that.
Okay. So
only A50 support the USB mode.
Okay.
And so this is the so since this year, our Meeting Board Pro and A50 come with the triple eyes. So the main technology is that just what I say before. So the middle one, this middle one is that work within the 10 feet. Within 10 feet, they will use this camera, but beyond the 10 feet to the 20 feet, they will use the both side angles, so it can have a wide capture and for length capture. So this is the mechanism of the F50, and I wouldn't take too much on that, but just give you information. And for the accessory, I think is sometimes you may ask whether there has the wireless mic or the same 20 can work with the A50 for that. Yeah, so I have all the accessory that can work with the A50, like the same 20, same mic. It would like to sing make a singing speaker. SIM20 is able to work with that. And touch panel still will be the CDV25 and VCH51 for the BLD extended. And not to major upgrade on that. Yeah, so the S40 will use the same, actually the same camera, but it doesn't build in Android our systems inside. So with this model, it's just add on the MCore 4 the host, and this is the S50. So I don't take too much on that. Any question for the A40? Okay. Yeah, and another one is that Meeting Board Pro. So it also comes with triple eyes. So they use the same camera system with the A50, and it can extend to 12 times pro camera. So when you are in the open space, so we have seen so many use case like in open space or healthcare, rooms that would like to move the Meeting Board Pro because they have limited IT resources. They would like to move it back and forth. So this kind of board is pretty quite used. So this Meeting Board Pro can have a capability to capture the video audios up to 40 feet, and this also supported the Android and Windows at the same time, same as the first generation. And this is the key upgrades from the Meeting Board and Meeting Board Pro. So firstly, definitely from the same the screen size. The second one is from the display. We have the better 400 nit, so it can be wide and can be used in the wide brighter environment. And from the AI processing, that it has the great upgrade to the Qualcomm's the chips, so have better computing and not busy. And here, so we have a different one is that currently have been always used IntelliFocus. We know we don't support the multi-focus right now. So IntelliFocus is like a feature that can provide you a room view to show all the people in the room. So this is the difference. And the BLD modes that can support the IP BLD and IP controller. And from the weight, it's much lighter, no net weight. Meant for Meeting Board. And this is the BLD or content sharing accessory. So support the wide BLD, HDMI, AirPlay, Multicast, and WPP30 is still not available in AWS because of the patent issue. So it's unfortunately it doesn't work in here. Yeah, and this is the accessory, so not too much difference from the A40. And this one is the 12 times the Pro camera. It doesn't support the 6 times. The first generation support the 6 times, but this time this version don't support the 6 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we move to another one, do you have any questions on this? Okay. Yeah, so the mainstream the models that we are still working with you guys is the private solution for the camera or the steam mic. So today I'm focused on this part, and we'll focus on more technical instruction. So like the visual room or the room control, like how to integrate with this party, like a question QCs, they can up the DSP or the controller. So today's focus is mainly focused on this. And that's based on the user scenario. So like S90 come with the dual camera, so it's easier to be put in a large room, but they are not really large. And so like here in the push side by both sides of the display, and they can use the SIM20, that kind of the sitting mic. If they don't have enough budget for the like density version of the kinds of premium just sitting microphone, like you can use the SIM20 and CS10, like kinds of the sitting mic and sitting speaker in this kind of situation. And normally we can put like this will be similar as advantage. You can put insert a camera to check the presentation area. So this is in our case, it is X90, but we don't need the DSP because there's a AV hub inside. So don't follow the DSP to be supported in this kind of situation. So this is the diagram, the connection between the X90. I have been asked a lot in the from engineer side. So say, hey, Jack, how to connect the CM20 and CS10 in the X90 solution. So it's really simple. Like we already have every hub. So you just need another PoE switch that provides the power consumption for that and connected to the hub directly, and the system can work and don't need a DSP. So this is the diagram. And with this X90 standard, remember last time I have do a demonstration is that if the customer purchases X90 in the boardroom, so we support the feature like we call it the dual cameras switch speaker tracking. So, and you can also switch between the speakers. So if I like conversation mode, we provide the room view to let you know who is the participants in the room. But if there are one speakers in the speaking, the camera will track that person, and when he or she stopped, that another person started to speak, that another camera will focus on that. So it wouldn't cause any dizziness between the transition of the camera. So the switch will be really
smoother.
Yeah. So the installation is really simple. It's really friendly for the installation. Just to place this camera side by side. So you don't need to have the really programming or the hard coding, something like that. Just place side by side. And the use UVC86. So working range is up to 30 feet. So that in the kind of ballroom you can use the AVC86. But in the wider, longer room, so you can have later we'll introduce the Smart Vision 80. So this is the new camera.
Okay.
Yeah. So in we the 30, they can use this one. And I'm not sure you can remember that the feature I demonstrated for you last time. I can a quick show the feature you'll be like. What? Oh, it's crashed. Give me a second. Mhm.
Hello everyone, I'm Priscilla.
Why the audio is not? Oh,
Oh,
would you have
do you have
me
any-
there?
Not sure
Sure.
how you're
How you're
getting
getting
into
into
the
the
system.
system. Hello
Hello
everyone,
everyone,
I'm
I'm
Priscilla
Priscilla
from
from
Yale.
Yale.
We
We
are
are
currently
currently
showcasing the
showcasing the
multi-camera
multi-camera
tracking
speaker
feature.
tracking feature.
As you can see,
As you can
the
see,
view has
the view
transitioned
has
from a
transitioned
panoramic
from a
view to
panoramic
focusing
view to
on a single
focusing on
speaker.
a single speaker.
This is
This is accomplished by using two UVC-86 cameras to track and switch the view, effectively masking the camera movement process and preventing motion sickness.
The individual speaking sequence view switches to the current speaker, thereby exploding added providing meeting experience for remote participants. Allow us to demonstrate what occurs with support interrupts. Okay, a brief sound was heard now. You did not switch effectively to what would occur if someone were in for a longer period of time.
The view will switch back to the panoramic.
When multiple people are engaged in a discussion,
The view will remain panoramical.
setting current meeting status in the because there won't be frequent switching to the discussion is concluded, and now I'm the only. As the view has returned to the people. What happens if you turn off the microphone? I'm turning off the microphone now. Microphone is currently turned off. You can see that turning it off makes us immediately. The panoramic view no longer changes based on the speaker. Next, we will demonstrate a scenario. The view will switch to the panoramic view and stay that way, but there is no speaker. Take a look.
What is that threshold? Like 5 seconds?
I didn't count.
Can you set it? Can you change the threshold like to make it quicker?
No, it's right now should be the hard coding. So yeah, I know someone would like to be faster, someone will be slower because from far end, if you change it really fast, it could be easy to feel dizziness.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just set it to like 6-7 seconds.
I mean, the time frame that y'all have it set for looks good to me.
Mhm.
I was just wondering, because I'm sure I'm gonna get a question, you know, how long do you need to be quiet for it to go back to panoramic, or how long do you need to talk for before it zooms in on you?
Right.
Depends on who you're asking. Some people should just be quiet the whole time. Not just, you know.
Yeah.
So this is the new, what did you call the new camera?
Smart Vision 80.
Smart Vision 80?
Yeah,
And then,
this is UBC 86,
okay.
the old one, this new one. But what I told Chelsea, this is not it doesn't mean that we are going to end up sell for this model. It's just we extend the working range for the
Okay.
the capability to do that. And yeah, in this demonstration, that just use a standard X90 packages. It doesn't need additional like the DSP or like use the QCS need to do the mic and engage to do that. We don't need to do that. And it just in the starting we just add on the like for CM20 or CS10 that kind of stuff. Then it can work without the help of DSP. And more importantly, we don't need the coding. So if they use the QCS, you have to do the programming. So make it to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Hello.
Sorry, what's your name?
I'm John.
Oh,
How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice
It's
to
first
meet
time to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you in person too. I'm sorry I'm running from meeting to meeting today.
Okay. And so this is a quick recap. I believe all of you have been familiar with the S90 packages. It can support up to 9 cameras to work with each other with the single AV hub. Provides a really large capture of the video and the audio. And they can customize the layout, would like to be like a full screen or the division, now that depends on their needs. They can preset this and call it when they are in a meeting. Or they can do the camera to control. So especially when they in a large room, they have to customize by themselves, not just from the administrator. They can do it by themselves to set up the temporary layout for them. Yeah, so next one, I think I can tell more about the diffuser room because diffuser room and room control is really common in working roles. So I will take a little bit for that. So previously, when we just have X90, that solution would be a little simple. Like you put the cameras and the core in each rooms, and then I think you will be more familiar with this diagram. So this the QC is their connection. Like they have the computer engine and the amplifier, the DSP and switch, and this is the original one. But and with the X90, so we are able to do is this part, the camera and the core and how we can switch them. But right now we have the sitting mic and the DSP, so we could make us have the capability to replace the DSP and the sitting sure this 920 because we have a SIM 50 to do that. So for if the customer already have the Shure's, they can't stop the same microphone, they have already a DSP, but they want to just replace the camera, or if the customer are satisfied with the Shure's microphone or something like that, you can put the X90 package in it, and the connection is quite simple. So there's just need to use the switch and a major switch, and there's every part in every hub, and you can connect it to in this way. And we also provide the API, and you can do it the control from the controller, or we also have the division rooms menus in the Teams native mode. You can switch it to the merge manually, but also you can use the presence sensor to detect the status for them to do that. But this is just the basic based on the S90. And for the controller and the DSP, I think you have been more known as we support a lot of the third party like the Electron, the IM, the QCs, and Crestron Shure. So if the customer they really want to have the technology to integrate with our system, we are able to do that. And like here, they used all our X90 camera and with the P3 and DSP, and then my 920 the mic is in mic. So this is the basic connection like that. Yeah. I think before we move to the room control, do you have any questions on the division room for this?
I would assume that the DSP would need to connect to each of those AV hubs separately. So, okay.
Yeah, but we'll do the same. So the AV hub.
There'd be like the IO USB bridge is separate for each. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and later I will take a recap again. So our DSP APOA, we provided dual USB ports, so we don't need IO bridge to do that. If you just
two rooms.
Yeah, if the customer just have 2 rooms.
Okay.
Yeah. So another kind of the question was asked frequently is that it's able to use the controller with the QCs or the question. Definitely you can support that. So like let's start with the first case. Suppose like the customer have already used the third-party plugins for room control, but they don't use a lot. I mean, in the room control to control the camera, we can provide a hoverboard. So just like in this way, so we have a setting in the YRC. When you enable it, there was the hoverboard in here. So which means the customer can use the room control to do the original one, but use this camera, the hovering board to do the camera control.
Okay. Yeah, because before, is this a new feature?
No, this is not a new feature, but I think last time we don't have any presentation on this because recently I have been asked a lot. Since that we have more and more projects have been developing in the
Okay. Yeah, because my understanding was that if you use the room controls for the QSE control or Crestron control, that you couldn't control the Yealink cameras directly. You had to control the Yealink cameras through the QSYS. But now you can, or you can with this. Is that right?
We have support this feature for I think at least 1 year.
Okay.
So just
just a toggle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they really want to use the original control, and they don't have the programming cost to do the integration. Actually, we have provided the API to integrate in the system. If they have the cost for that, we can support that. But if they don't want to spend the cost on this, then we can provide the hovering boards.
And what does that look like? Is it the same interface? Okay.
This is the control system they have. And this is
Okay.
when you hit the ball, it will switch you to this
Okay.
layout, and they can control the feature of each camera or the camera layout.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Yeah. But if the customer say, hey, can we support the HTML5? Yes, also we can support that. So it's just also another parameter to enable it and support the URL of the controllers, the server address, then it can start to work. So like they can provide you, if the customer, I say, I would like to use this to do the control from the visual combine or divide it. So they can use HTML5. So HTML5 will support and Windows version and also support on the meeting bar also right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so if the customer say would like to use the native one, the French second page, we like to keep the camera control and the room control on the same page. We also support that. Like the question, and you can use the plugin to install our MCall, then disable our plugin, or you just disable it to the task manager to disable it to start up. Then you can have the whole user experience same as the question one.
Okay.
Right here, you can change the PTZ of the camera up and down. Yeah, and to do the restart. So this is the pure one.
So you've installed the Crestron app on the MCore.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes. Exactly. Sorry, too technical. Yeah. And so we also provides the module in the Crestron's marketplace. So you can download the module, and the module based on the CP4 and X panel. So we need to change the IP ID and in the panel 3. And when you change it, you just do the connection and jailbreak. I think the design engineer when you cover this, right? Or you need to do this program. This should be the responsibility from the programming team. But I just make sure that
Yeah, no, it's helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so in the questions, the IDE, you can do the linkage between the camera as well as the up and down to do the connection. And when they would like to use the HTML5, so sometimes you need to do the URL parameter because they have to take the token to make sure they can pass the UN or PW authentication. And so right now is the 4 series or the VC4 only. There's the Windows support, and there's the verify on the MC4, and that 3 series doesn't support, just for information. And you just put the URL with token in this address. Here.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you can use the room control here, so with the native one. And with, I know a lot of projects like we have been working with the WinRat is the project the Corwell. They use the electrons the control system. So this will be the same. They provide a driver, so you can download from the link, and it will be the link room connect with Vision 5. And you have to just follow the extra. They also have to provide a guide, and we can give you a guide, so you can set up the master camera ID. So it will be this serial number of camera, and set up the correct SL to verify the model. But this is based on the HTTPS. Okay, and you set up the camera, and you have to kind of configure the action. Yeah, and put the IP address and the password. And you can put inputs for the master rooms with the division status, and do the pens and the TLS commands. Any question for this one?
I think it's pretty clear. Thanks.
Okay. So after you set up, you can have the room control here with the electrons controller. Yeah. And so for the actions best part, I think MTL plugin. To use the questions the plugin, we must have used the general driver or called The name is it'd be easy to remember. It's external control for the micro Teams Room. And in the UCAS is that when I need the element feature like the division volume, which runs the action drivers, they don't support with that. So you have to choose drivers and this one and enable connect and force for the one of the UI to third party plugin.
Okay.
Yeah. And the general feature is that like on one camera, like when you have the UVC A60, the packages, you can use that to do the control, but we need to install the in-room connect plugin. So we have installed this in the MVC series by default. But if you want to use it, you have to disable it or uninstall it. Yeah, so they have the driver. You can do it in the system to use the driver to control the USB camera and get camera ID to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that for the QC it's easier. So QC is provide the UCI on the URL and the native plugin. So you can use any one of them, and we can provide the template based on the HTTP socket. And HTTP also should be okay right now. So you can do the PCC control by integrate with the system.
Yeah. Is there, do you have a plugin for the QSys system? Do you know if there is a plugin available that can be installed on the QSys for control? I haven't found it. I didn't know if it was. I just missed it.
It seems not.
Okay.
You have to do the programming on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. After you set up, you can provide the camera's control, the operating.
Yeah. Okay, so scripting still. Right.
Yeah, the system they have to connect it and do the based on the direction series I'm going to put it in program, and you can start to work.
Okay. Do you know if do you have any of these scripts available that we could get a hold of so we didn't have to write it from scratch, or do you know?
Yeah, I think our programmers have some code they can for your reference and can set it up easier.
Okay.
But do you need to do the programming when you're in a project?
So I don't have a project coming up specifically, but this is something that Jerry and I have talked about, kind of what's involved with QSys control in the Yearling systems, and just knowing that there wasn't a plugin available, that there would be a lot of time spent. And there's another gentleman that works here that does most of this programming.
So from your responsibility, you also need to do the programming to enable the feature. Because as far as I know, that it should be you have a centralized programming team, so happy to do the stuff for that. But right now, you also need to do that, right?
We have someone local that does some of this programming as well.
Yeah, we have our own programmer.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I think I can check out our programmer. So they have some source code, simple code that can help you to easier to integrate it with it.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Cool.
So this is for the technical part, too technical. Sorry. So next, the steps may have been confused for that. But the next one is the X80. So this one has the one PDC camera and 3 digital camera. So it can have the 40 feet, 20 times the optical camera. So it can capture from 30 to 40. They can booking range is the conference is there. They come out large.
Yeah.
So it provides a lot more capability to cover the EVC, which is not able to cover. And it also have the built-in microphone inside. So which means that what UVC this can do, like presence tracking, multi-camera solution without the needs of the same mic, we can also do that. But if the customer have a really large conference room, we don't recommend you to do that. You can use the same mic to do the mic and engage, to do something tracking things in the kind of scenario. Yeah, but with the upgrades of the camera's capability, you can definitely extend the working range. So our competitors would be like the one beyond accuses like the 20 times camera. But later I will show you the comparison between them. So we have a lower prices but with more air features inside. Yeah, and this one also supports the second huge improvements is from the cameras. Name that one would be the NDI and ND Spot. Okay, so which means that you have the capability to integrate with NDI with the like software on the yeah. So previous UVC 86 it just a USB camera, but now it has been able to work with over the IP. Yeah. And so this is the main comparison between the one beyond and us. So like here, this is the MSRP, but this is on the final price for you. So it can cover from the large to extra zoom, but from camera side, we also have the digital one. So 4 cameras work together, provides a wider and longer working range. And with the built-in microphone, so which means that it can have IntelliFocus, both cameras. This one is more expensive, but they're making this some feature. And for the room view, we also provide room views, make sure that you have better experience that when you have a room that all the participants can capture for finding out who is in the room. And also do the speaker checking and print making. So now I can by the way, this model is hardware is ready, but software is still in the developing. So since the Memphis office is the most close to partner in the CTI, so I'm not afraid to show. Maybe I have some bugs inside. I'm not worried about that, but I can show you that how you can. What's the quality you'll be like? It should be working. So suppose I was in. Sorry. So maybe we have yeah. So files that can capture this is not long enough, but from the picture you can tell that from my picture is really this is really good. But later I will show you with the EVD86 if we are in the multi-focus mode for the EVD86 is really vary.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have from here. And let me switch it to the EVD86. Hello.
I can't hardly see you at all.
Yeah, you can tell the difference between the.
Yeah, the other camera was less sharp.
Yeah. So according to the development progress, it should be ready in the Q3. So which means every time we have the capability to have a better quality for the camera.
So that was both a camera quality difference, but also a processing difference. It seems like the UVC 80 was kind of capturing all of this.
So once we roll out this, the UVC 6, the price will be down again.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have make two tiers, but the mainstream we are still working on the UVC 86 because in most of case 30 feet will be enough. We just adding our capability to work for a large room. Yeah.
Now with the NDI capability of the Smart Vision 80,
yeah,
can it be used separate from an MTR? Like, can it be used in a larger system? Like we can talk to it directly from QSys to control the camera.
Yeah, but currently that feature is still in the development.
Okay.
Yeah, but later you will spot that.
Okay.
Yeah. And for the M-Core, so M-Core Pro is the third generation of the computing engine. But right now we have already replaced our M-Core Pro to the M-Core 4. So this is the 4th generation. So the upgrades from the M-Core, I won't take too much time, but the highlight here is to have the built-in MPU. We're trying to do some new feature on inside it to like previously when you install the room, install the solution, you have to manually to detect the names, right? We're trying to use the AI computing technology, trying to make it easier for you to deployment and detect the angle or something, the glass wall, then you tell how can I use to be used in the voice cancellation. And so this is the computing technology we have been trying to do, and not just from the hardware side. And the second one is we support IP controller directly. So previous they just have M-Touch port in the M-Core Pro.
Yeah.
So which means that you have to direct connection between the M-Core and M-Touch. It's not able to extend the working range. But we also support another port to support the IP controller. So which means that when you are in a control room, we can use the IP, not use.
Could you use a CPT or CTV25?
Exactly.
Okay.
You can that one. So just the CV M-Touch Plus is
Yeah.
standard version. But if you would like to use the IP controller, that one we use the CTV25.
Okay.
And so this is the Android touch
Yeah.
panel. I can pair with it. I can extend the working range more than 300 feet.
Yeah.
That you can use anywhere you want, but just make sure in the same net the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And since the M-Core 4 it has been rolled out, but for the IP controller, the BLD mode still in the developing. So
Okay.
just boy
Okay.
there you have this
Okay.
kinds of requirement then roll out with this, but it was possible.
Okay.
Yeah. And for the staying mic, I will give up more brief introductions. Last time we have like introduction, but I just give you a house better. The standard one, we mentioned the self-can, so that kinds of user scenarios that like it's in a large room, but they're already large, and they have the cost, not enough cost to design that. Then because it's for the base as 67, so you can plug into the hub directly without the DSP. And the CM50 and the APOA, this is premium identity solution. So it has the 127 microphone areas. And what does that mean? So Shure has the 9620, it has 120. So from hardware side, we are totally competitive with us. Last Thursday, I was in the Irontown and the Paris, the branch that, and we showed them the videos, video and audio experience from our customer experience in Dallas. When he hear the voice experience, he said he would like to set up the one in their voice to do a demonstration. So if you need the demo gear or you would like to invite your customer to have an experience on that, you can totally through the customer experience and yeah. And the model can have the voice pickup, so it would be the same as like Shure one. You can do the mic, the camera engagement, but I'm not sure how many this kinds of use case in the Memphis. Is it very much kind of the application?
Well, with a QSC system, we would use the Shure microphone, if that's what you mean. But I mean, I could see. So the CM50 will improve the camera tracking performance.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So which kind of the from the this DSV side, which kinds of model you use for?
Usually QSC core.
QSC.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's some difference. Other office they say they use the bio more. So
Yeah, it's primarily QSC uses. Yeah.
QSC. Okay. Oh, our lunch should be ready, right?
Probably.
You can get some
I'll
food
check.
together and keep.
Yeah, Amy Sarah said she should be back.
Yeah, it's ready.
Okay. We can go.
Small break.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
Sure, we are not done.
Oh, so hot outside, that like us, oh gosh, we're hot outside, this is, oh, it's like we're at rest. Get it? I mean, where did it come?
I was looking at something like that, you go ahead there. So, I need to like this, then I always do this. I've got some lot.
I think you have.
Thank you. I thought, yeah. Yeah, that's what you do.
And when we went to do the demo, they also showed them like the Pro AV stuff, because they love that LED lot, they don't need it. And so they have been on the hunt for,
Great.
so, right, so they have been on the hunt and they haven't found anything that was like either equal or better than that camera. And then when they, just straight out of the box, without even getting a picture. It was better than it was better, and then the fact that they could do like up to 9 in the same room. So it was just like, I think what'll end up happening is, I suspect that no matter what they end up deciding for like their standard room, I think when it comes to like the specialty room, I think that's gonna be a biggie. So it was just, he was just like, and then only that, but the price is way better than what they're used to spending. Oh, the easels are plus, you know, it was like $9,800 the last time I sold one, and not longer, so. I wanna say like the recent, what we were selling to the customer, like, yeah, the portable rails with inflation, whatever, so, I mean, that's just wild. So, he really was that camera. But he did tell me, he was like, even before we started the shootout, he was like, if I got told, what, you don't have time to do it, just make a decision. If he just had to pick one today, he would pick the game over. Like if it was up to him, like he was like, if I was forced to do this, he's on, leading that direction, but they're forcing him to do, they want to do it down for today, for everybody to use it and make it, make it. So, but he said, he sounds like the different, pros and cons, but the like pro con list. The only thing that is like kind of a pro is that is not meeting on that and he's like, and I think he's like, how we not using it, that it wouldn't be the case.
You know, that road out.
I wonder if I could interpret it as a friend.
Jared, did you need any real napkins? Got paper towels up here.
That'll work.
Okay. That little 850 system, the bar.
Mhm.
I understand that you can still plug a Windows computer into it, you can run your own to it, even though it's an Android-based system. So you can put that up in the front of a room that's 25 feet deep, what have
Yeah.
you, and have everything that you want to with it.
Mhm.
I got one of Lindsay's UAB people, they want to value engineer. Was initially designed as a room system with ceiling speakers and microphones and things along those lines. That looks like that'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, because this is how Stephen, like you saw him was doing, you're just plugging him into this. But the issue is that the receive piece needs to turn its HDMI output off whenever it's not, whenever it doesn't have a connection from one of the
Right.
transmitters. And that the older version didn't have that
Right.
option. So
It was, you would have to
Transmitting
really
off.
know what, you know, what you were doing to
yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Do you see any project may need the division room or room control in a kind of project that we can help?
There has been, I think I worked with you guys on one recently. It was a three-way space, I think it was, three-way divisible space. This was it's a Nashville project.
Israel?
Light Point, I think is what it was.
Oh, that point.
Maybe. You might be getting that mixed up with somebody else. But the description is correct. It was a three-way divisible space. So we looked at the UC setup with the ceiling light. And also one of those rooms we wanted to have two ways of control. So there's two panels, the CPT 25, I think it was, and then the EXT version, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the last one. I don't know about you, any kind of visible spaces.
I haven't worked on one yet.
Yeah.
So which brand of the control system do you use more? Like
QSC.
Q's.
Yeah. Ever since COVID, there was a huge transition away from Crestron to QSC. I wasn't working for CTI at the time, but I think it was similar for you guys over here.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Although I can see Crestron picking up some more gain to get going.
What's the feedback you get from programmers? Programmers probably like the QSC better, right?
And JT loved it.
Yeah, the Lewis scripting is so much faster than trying to deal with Crestron simple windows.
There's also one of the guys that's done.
He's done all of it.
Done plenty of Crestron and plenty of AMX. He realized AMX as well. Probably prefers AMX over Crestron. But yeah, he's heavily endorsed. He's in control for sure. Yeah.
So during the project, do you need to, like, when you do all the design, do you need to follow up the progress of the project, like when you're speeding or finish the deployment, they kind of stop leading to follow up the progress of the project.
As a designer, like in our position,
You asked like where we stay involved in the project. Usually, if we're in the pre-sale side, we'll be involved then, and then project sold, we'll still continue to be part of it at a support level all the way to the end of the project. Now, whether we get out in the field and help commission, turn systems on, and deploy them, very rarely will I. Kevin probably at the previous company probably did more there. Here, I mean, just kind of depends, but we do have a large enough team that I think that kind of facilitates all that, and we don't necessarily get out in the field and do a whole lot, but we can, and also be remote support too. So,
Oh, okay.
but we'll stay involved at least to some capacity all the way to the end of the project.
Makes sense.
so a challenge we run into with QSys control
Mm-hmm.
is with the URL.
Yeah.
The QSC only supports HTTPS,
Yes.
and so the SSL, the certificate requirement.
Yeah.
Did we get around that with the hospital? Do we have a QSC control interface or UCI on the link?
Which one are we talking about?
The Bonner. You
They're
have.
still working on it.
I didn't know if there was some system where I was thinking you had to integrate QSys control. It's just it's another thing you have to
Yes,
get worked out.
that was Methodist North.
Methodist. Okay.
Methodist. Okay.
From what I understand, we're still waiting on their IT department to,
That's on the team's, the actual NTR side.
okay.
Do you know if we have the certificate thing worked out?
I do not know.
Yeah.
I would assume probably at this point, but I don't know 100%. That I had to circle back. Who was that? That's Matt's projects, right? Yeah.
The Methodist Labonte,
Yeah.
I think, is Taylor.
Or Taylor. Yeah, that's right. It's Taylor.
It would be really nice if there was a checkbox on the Yealing side that said accept self-signed certificates, so that you didn't have to worry about, setting up because the QSys would need to be either connected to the internet.
Yep.
To be able to use a public, I'm forgetting the word, certificate.
To pass the SL.
Yeah, or they would have to establish their own internal network certificate system. Forgetting the terminology there. But anyway, it's kind of a hurdle for that integration.
Mm-hmm. But you think the token is not working?
So maybe I don't understand how that works. So it wouldn't necessarily be for user authentication, but it would be just the SSL for the connection encryption.
So like here, sorry. So once you get a token, you can put into the web address of the YRC, then you can pass through that. So every time you don't get the token again.
Okay. So that's for user authentication though, right?
Yeah.
The token. So the SSL is just for overall encryption of the connection. Or the HTTPS piece of it. And that requires some sort of external certificate authority, I think is the right terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a system with QSC control with Neat products. It was a Zoom room.
Mm-hmm.
And with Zoom, they've opened up the ability to use HTML5 with specific platforms. So Crestron, Extron QSC. With the Zoom platform, they give you that checkbox that says, enable or allow self-signed certificates. And so that kind of gets you around the requirement to have all the certificate stuff worked out with the company's IT department or wherever the device is living. So.
Oh, okay. So that you are using the QSys and the need solution.
Say that again.
So that room you are using the QSys and the Neat solution.
In a Zoom room specifically, yeah,
Okay.
and it was you didn't have to have the all the certificate authority configuration
Mhm.
done, because you could just turn on accept self-signed certificate on the system.
Mhm. Would you mind showing me an email that describe that so I
Yeah.
can keep my program involved in? So
Yeah.
if we can do that, maybe in the future project, we don't have to make it so complicated to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
happy to send that to you.
Yeah, I think that'll be useful.
That's actually on Cisco WebEx hardware. The Cisco Navigator can load a third-party interface via HTML5 as well. And they have they actually more recently added that feature where you could allow the self-signed certificates on Cisco WebEx as well. So yeah, I'll send you that info.
Yeah, from HTTPS, it's best it just verify the SS or
Yeah, yeah.
subscribe, but
Yeah.
for the rooms, I think it has more make sure that it's meet the compliance. So a lot of stuff have been not disabled by default, but we can try to think about it. Is it more convenient for you in the future and how to integrate it?
Yeah.
And with this work well.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So by the way, for the Methodist, the British said that they would like to 3 cameras. Do you remember that room? They would put at the beginning we put the 2 cameras on the one is in the front end
Mhm.
and another one is on the side end.
Yeah.
And finally they would like to have 3 cameras, and I suggest you put 2 cameras on
Right,
on both sides of the display and one in and also on the side view. Does they have any specified requirements on the camera feature, or why they would actually put 3?
So,
When you have time,
I don't recall, I have to go back through the conversation history on that.
We were talking
Mhm.
about, like,
I think maybe when you and I talked about it originally, you had suggested 3 cameras would work better in this space.
Well, actually, that room is quite large and for a distance. So
I don't know how to
if
word.
they
word
just
all
have
that,
the
like,
Yeah, as far as
2
the time
cameras,
saving as well.
I don't
Yeah.
recommend to use the
And I
any
think
AI
from
function like the multi camera
or that I've been involved
in Teleframe. They cannot stop. They just
I think
they
that's
can
what
use the
would
one
do,
camera
like a little business
in the
app
in the
bubble,
front
so we pull that
and
data
capture
up.
all the participants.
So.
So,
you just
like,
should shoot me a message just saying, you know.
Group framing, auto
if they
framing,
don't
they can
have it
feature
ready,
and
you know,
enable
here's-
all the
here's
participants
what we
capture,
can do.
Yeah, we
and
can do
one for the side view.
Right.
So both in the standard package, they have already spelled that.
Did you work on stuff?
But
on
what
Auto a lot?
I don't understand is that even though you put 2, so
Well, we haven't started
if you
building
set
one.
3 cameras in
I've
this
got, you
room,
know, a box
they are
order
not
that
able
we
to
had
use any
for
AI
to get the
functions
$0 PO.
to get the
And now
individual
it's got
the
an
close up
opportunity in the
for
system
each
just so we don't have
present
something, you know,
speaker.
to show for the
So
proof of
so I
concept.
have
So
some
I think if
confusion on that.
if you're familiar with doing AutoZone and stuff in the past, it might make sense.
Yeah.
for you
Yeah,
to be
there wasn't any real
yeah,
direction
just
from
start
that
doing
aside
like
from
the actual
I didn't try
this
to
side
work
camera
And
being
as
on
far as
the
the
track
stuff, you know, he
center.
knows you,
Yeah.
he's comfortable with you. that's
That was
probably
really
ideal,
it.
too.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, I think when you and I talked about it, maybe we talked about just having more views at the table for switching.
Mm-hmm.
Which if it makes more sense, we can
David,
move
I
that
would reach out
one
to
camera
the apps
instead of having 2 up at the front, maybe to
with
the
the
opposite
dates
wall, but the
for the
side we have
next,
2 on
you
the
know, the next
side,
few months, so he can pick.
which I don't know that that's really going to gain anything really, to be honest.
The
Because-
Does he
the
need
only
them?
reason I ask
Wasn't-
this is
wasn't it
that
something
if
in
they
Trent?
put 3 cameras,
Trent is
2
still
in the
the
front,
national
and to
sales
capture
manager.
each part of the
was it
participants
one or
for the
something?
VIP
There was-
seat,
There were so many
they
different.
cannot give
You know, that came
them the
when
really
we did
good
the Tech on Tap.
close up. So if you just put
I
one
don't
in
know
the
who
front
was on
and
Tech
all
on
the
Tap. I
participants
didn't cover
capture,
that one.
they'll be
I had
fine.
my
But if you
director
put
at the
2,
same
and
time.
so you have to use the
But
like
Trent
left
is
camera to
our
check the
national
right
sales
side,
manager.
the right
He's
camera to
one
check
of
left
our
side.
national.
But for the far end, the
This
VIP
guy
seats,
is new.
especially like the
Oh,
the
so it
seat
is
will
new,
be
so it's
a
definitely
little
different than the
different,
switches I
not
dealt
like
with
a
last
really
time.
good
Okay.
video experiments. So which
I
they
think
may have
Miles is
some
only been there now.
complaints on that. Say, hey,
About
we
2
use the 3
months.
camera. How come we can have the really good video experiments?
Yeah.
So
For
instead
the
of
June water cooler.
You know, I was talking to
Jason
Brett
and-
about the,
and Kevin were talking
the-
about it.
the head
Instead
table
of having
seat.
a
And he was
partner
thinking
on there,
that
we're just gonna do kind of
after
like
more
an
conversations with
recap,
him,
like
that they don't actually sit
Here's
all
all
the
the
way back there.
coolest stuff
So, okay.
Like, when they
You
use
know,
the space
kind
a
of
lot,
thing,
that
and
they'll
then
be
what we were
sitting
gonna try
closer
to
to
do
the
is
display wall.
Yeah.
for a
So
majority
we
of the
only
water coolers for
may
the
need
rest
to
of the
get
year.
about halfway down the table.
Try to
with
have
the
it
best
be
looking shot
the
possible.
different
So
partners that have really cool new things.
I think
you
with
know,
the specs
at
of the camera, that would be
InfoComm, that way we're not having to wait
Yeah.
all
I
the
think
way
we were just
until
outside the
after Christmas
threshold.
to try to get some of those on that
Depth
call.
wise,
Yeah.
probably like 4 to 6
It's
feet
like last year,
further
having them
than
all
with
scheduled
the,
so far in advance,
the
that it
camera
made it
quality
kind of
would-
hard to
would,
squeeze
pick up.
in something
Yeah.
if something cool
So,
popped up.
like I said, we are,
So I've been trying to only
as you
schedule
stated,
like
they're not really
two or
ever
3
sitting at the
months
end of the table anyway.
out now, so that
It's a long
doesn't happen.
setup.
Yep.
They're all modular tables anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't think we're gonna really run into that issue for image quality then.
Yeah. If it's just this
I think
in
we
both
probably
sides,
should
that
get
would be
A-Link
fine.
on there again
But
with
it's
all
if
that
the
new stuff
VIP
that we
is sitting
talked
on the
about.
far end,
Yeah.
they
And
cost them the complaint.
That one
So
still,
that's
I
why
think,
I'm
had the
sending
most
boosters
participants
three.
It
ever,
sounded like
you
that.
know,
That's not
on
gonna
that
be the
call.
issue now.
And then it
So-
actually
Okay.
Or
lets
be the case
people
anymore.
want
Yeah.
to buy their stuff.
That's awesome.
Are there any rooms still in designing for the mesa list?
Not me. Not right now. I think they're all existing quotes out there.
Mm-hmm.
With them, it'll sit for a while. We'll design something and they'll
Mm-hmm.
kind of the pattern is we have our main guy we usually work with, Eric, I'm sure you met out there. And he'll pass it up, but then it just kind of sits in their queue for a bit. Like this one that we are doing, the teleconferencing room. And I don't know, I think we probably quoted that thing 3 or 4 different times,
3-4 times.
in different ways.
Oh, okay.
And then they finally pulled the trigger on this last one. Like, all right.
Nice shot.
Better than nothing, I guess. You know?
Okay. And I don't want to take too much time, but just some recap previous we have show you. So on for SIM20, so for SIM20 the dental microphone, so its pickup range for premium is 16 feet, and the SIM20 is just like 10 feet. So when you have that kinds of area, you can use the SIM20, but if you want to have a really good premium pickup, you can use SIM50 for the 16 feet. And the standard working range can up to 8 meters would be 24 feet. So for the standard, still have a good quality. And SIM50 would be a little different like the camera, so you can easier to tell from your eyes. So if you have customer that would like to experiment what the sound quality would be like, you can always use the customer experimenter in Dallas with our the CEC. So a lot of the customer would like to use that to make sure they have a really good experiment. And I'm not sure. We also support the local sound reinforcement, but I'm not sure is this kinds of application. Are there many use case in the normal situation?
It's not real common.
Real common. Yeah, I think so, because I was thinking that when you turn around and you do the voice pickup, it'll be when you turn around, that voice will be decreased a lot. Yeah, so
It's really just the biggest, like very large boardrooms that they would want that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or that one for FedEx.
Oh yeah.
At one time.
Yeah. And so the SIM50 support 8 priority zoom pickup. So you can do that to have the integration with camera to do that feature like the ACPR, the QCS ACPR. But with ours, you can also when you set the pickup zone, then it will give you XYZ of the coordination to the camera, so you can trigger it to capture specific area. And the acoustic fans, this is also the sounds experience. So when you are in the podium area, you can also set that for the presenter. Yeah. And this DSP would be the computer with the Shure P300. And I know that some office use the P300 quite a lot, but since that we don't use the P300 here, may I know what's the difference that make you don't like this kinds of model? I'm trying to learn.
I missed a question, I'm sorry.
So I means that you like to use the QC's core, the DSP, and our DSP, the APOA is from the future side, on the pricing side, will be a little close to the P300. We provide the feature, we don't provide the feature like the flexibility for the QCs to do the multiple programming to achieve the different kinds of results. We focus on the video conferencing, so we have built a model for the AEC, for noise, for the noise cancellation, that kind of stuff. All the things has been done and pre-request, so which means they don't have to do the many program on that. So I'm trying to then what's the difference like in Memphis office, like you don't like to use the P300, but like
it's not that we don't like to use it. It's the P300 is a more limited DSP.
oh
Right.
makes
than
sense,
the
makes
QSys.
sense.
So when it fits, it's a great product.
Yep.
And typically it's with one or a few ceiling microphones or their MXA 310 table microphone. It doesn't really have a good solution if you need to do any sound reinforcement in the room.
Yep.
It's really just a conferencing processor, and like when it's a good fit, it's way faster to commission.
Yeah.
And it's less expensive than an equivalent QSys core. But as soon as we need to have any control in the space, we would use QSys because of the control functionality built into that platform. But then any other more creative audio requirements, we would use QSys for that.
Okay.
Would this somehow or another fit between, say, the P300 and going with the QSys?
I think it would be.
I mean, it looks like you've got
There's a lot more
a lot more
and-
flexibility as far as the microphones and things along those
Now, I'll
lines.
say one other thing to consider too is the P300 sometimes is driven by necessity on space too.
Mm.
Like we'd take that and mount it behind a display.
Yeah, it's
Right?
very
This
easy
is
to
a full rack size unit box, right?
Sorry.
This APO.
What is the size of
the-
this?
the
Is it
size of
half
the-
rack, full rack?
So
I think it's a full when I looked. Pretty
Maybe.
close to one our.
I was
one our-
asking.
would be like this.
Yeah.
This one.
So this is 19 inch, right?
That sometimes drives the decision too on like where we have space to put devices.
Ah.
So
Because-
the first thing would be what's the functionality needs of the space, and then the second could be
The
size of the
commissioning.
boxes, components, where can we put them?
Mhm.
But I think the overall driving factor is going to be what's the functionality we need, right?
Okay.
And then we'll figure out the rest.
Okay, makes sense. For this DSP, so it's for AEC channel, so you can for best practice, if you have the requirement, we support up to 8 SIM50 to be used in here because they have auto mixer in it, and the two USB ports is friendly to be used in the 2 diffuser room. You don't have to add on any I/O bridge, so it's quite easy to use that. And another difference is that from the programming, last time I have make a demonstration how the room designer can be used. So when you input all the dimension of the environments, so like the wavelength, height, then you give you a proposal how many speakers you need, how many microphone needs. So they give you a proposal, and when you add on some microphone or the speakers, we can support the auto connect, so which makes you programmers really easier to do the integration. Yeah. And for the speaker, this is the CS10D. This is the Denti version speaker. So I think, but I also see that in a lot of conference, they actually don't use the Denti speaker. They also use the analog speaker a lot. I'm not sure if I understand correctly.
Like with the P300 to use an analog speaker with that, is that what you mean? Or
Yeah, I mean, so when you use the Denti speakers, you have to put the wire from the speaker to the
You just have
switch.
more or less using an analog speaker over a Dante speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I think is
Old habits, probably.
well, it's cost too.
the cost is more on the Dante speaker, right?
Ah.
And then you have to factor in your PoE load what you would with an amplifier too, as far as how much power you need for it, but
What about the labor to pull the cable? Does that not balance out the
It's
price of the
actually,
speaker?
it's easier to install the
The analog.
analog speaker.
Yeah.
Because you can daisy chain them. The breaking point is usually 2 speakers. You can put in 2 speakers, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as if you needed only 2 speakers in a room, and you already had a network switch for other things, then Dante speakers make sense. But as soon as you have 3 or more, the speakers are so much more expensive
Okay.
that it's worth buying an amplifier and traditional analog speakers.
Yep.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. And
And the wired analog just always work.
Yeah, that's basically.
well,
It's like baseband.
And
It's hard to mess up.
until critters chew cables down the road or whatever. That's 10 years.
Yeah, probably so.
yeah, by the way, so from the DSP, from the RCA on analog Phoenix part, we also have that. So
Okay.
if you are free to use if you want to just use the CM50 that's sitting microphone, it's fine. If you don't want to use the API, it's also fine. So give it a flexibility to add on in your design.
So that the Dante PoE ports, well, you have a PoE switch built into that, right? So the microphone could connect directly to the APOA.
Yeah, but it's rack power should be 70 or 90.
Okay,
I
so
can double check.
You wouldn't
So,
want to run very many speakers off of that.
yeah,
but at
if
least-
you run too much and that too many, they're not able to provide the enough power. So you need to use the switch to power the speaker.
But we could use this with 2 CM50s and not need a network switch.
That would be fine. So with the third parties and of device, then this device is totally okay with that. Some I have shown, so the connection will be the same as the QCS, that kind of stuff, and protocol for the API. So if you want to do the integration, like in the diffuser program, we also provide the API for you. You can do the preset interface, and then you call the API, then you can trigger it to.
Okay, just recall presets.
Yeah, how to preset. Yeah, this software you must be familiar to use that. I won't take too much time to introduce that, but it's easier for you to use the device calculator to give you a brief ideas how many cameras, how many speaker, microphone units in the room. And for room designer, later we will have a really powerful ones, so you can use our own microphone or the speakers to in the design. You can integrate with the third party one, but it's free. Yeah. And last, the customer experience center is really friendly to the new customer. They have no idea about E-Link, or they have some not sure whether the E-Link the video, the audio can meet the requirements. You can book this the customer experience center. Then they can help you to demonstration. Sometimes I'm not able to bring all the demo gear with me, so I will ask them to help me to do the demonstration. Yeah, seeing experience makes your customer be more satisfied with that. What the expense may be like when I install the gears.
And it's in Plano, Texas.
Texas. And another one is in the New York.
Okay.
Yeah. But this one is the main one because we have put a dedicated 1% in data center. So they can have us according to your needs from a Zoom or Teams environment. Yeah. By the way, you have been familiar with this. We can provide the support from the opportunity identification to that after sales support follow up. So we would like to be a partner that is really responsive to you. So make sure you have a quick decision to the customer. Say we want to compare to with the SPO system. We have the better response than them and can help you to win the business. Yeah. I think this is almost the part I want to share today. So if you have any other questions in your project, you may have some confusion or say, I would like to use the A-Link, but currently you're not confident enough to use that kind of solution in that environment.
Did I see a content camera a little bit ago? One on a boom arm above a whiteboard?
Oh, you
Yeah,
mean,
on that very first slide, but it's talking about the
UVC.
90, I think. And the compatible products with it.
The UVC 30.
UVC 30.
Yeah.
But I didn't put it here.
Shipping already? Wow.
Yeah, the S90. We've got a couple of those going
UVC.
East Arkansas.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That was the solution you chose.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep. Yeah, we've got one room that has 6 cameras in it.
Wow.
Yeah. The new one he's talking about today is the S98, which is that new
Right.
camera right in front of the rally.
Yeah.
I think it was on the accessories page to those. that we
Maybe.
were-
I think this one, UVC 30 for the content sharing.
No, that was, it looked like, similar to a Logitech Scribe camera.
It's the UVC 30 on a
boom
boom.
arm.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That one can be put, but for the Loom model, we should have end of sales.
I don't think there's a USB like active USB extender included in their solution.
What, that was gonna be my next
I
question.
think
How does
it's-
it integrate?
Last I looked, it was sort of a maybe it was a USB extender cable, but only for like 30 feet or something.
So if is that still using like VCH then?
Are you seeing this one?
It's
Yeah, maybe that was it. Okay.
But this one is end of sale.
so it's not available anymore.
Yeah. The enable one should be. Give me a second. Oh no, this one is still available. This one is still available. Another one for Loom one, camera conventional Loom. That model is the end of sales, but this one is still available.
So how that connects back to your room system, is that VCH port?
No, this should be used.
I think you might have just said something about it.
I think it's just a
Just
USB extension.
Yeah.
But it's not like using the icon range or anything like the HUD or whatever it does.
So there's a USB port. You can connect it to the AV hub or the core. The USB port on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how you select that, is that just from the panel selection on the camera?
That would integrate as a Teams contact.
Teams
camera.
contact
So
camera.
Okay,
when you
so
go to
very
share
similar
content-
to the Scribe.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I think the Scribe has a Bluetooth button that you can use that actually trigger that.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it'll be the same.
Okay.
By the way, how many people this time will join the InfoCom?
Just right there.
Oh,
Standing at the table down.
And then I think Brett's going,
Brett
and
and
Jason.
Yeah.
So out of Memphis, there's
Five.
Five?
of us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. We will be in a brochure in the Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock. All the teams you should get the invite. All the teams will be invited to join our. We have the meeting with the Microsoft
Mhm.
and the CTI and the A-Link. So we have a meeting in the morning.
Nice.
Are you doing the UC breakfast that day?
Sorry,
Are you doing the breakfast that day?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Wednesday morning.
Will be the very first thing out of the gate.
Mm.
Yeah. From your perspective, do you think we use what kinds of the materials, or they can be easier for use as long as this knowledge base is really too many contents for you to reference from your designing or the sales part, which might be useful. I can make make it into a same price, easier for you use.
This is what I use.
Okay,
It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine for me.
okay, no problem. Yeah,
I think it just took us a minute to understand how to get to the
Yeah,
information.
it did. Yeah, because your main website there's not a lot of technical details.
yeah,
It's a support website.
yeah, it's a small website.
Support.neuralink.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should show all of you an emails from the for engineer to know where to find this interest to search the
Yeah.
contents.
If there was a links at the like your landing page for your products to have links just to get directly to this, like the installation or
Yeah, that would
spec
be helpful.
sheets, that'll just take you right to it. That would definitely be helpful. Because you have to essentially go to the support page and then type in what you're trying to find, and
Yeah, that seems yes. So that can
so it's kind of two-step and
exactly. So when you have the A50, we just give you the resources. Resources. Oh, but when you hit the resource, it give you a
right now you got to go to this other link and then
makes sense. Yeah, I think this is good advice. I can keep our
Or
sport team.
did that actually take it directly to it?
It did.
Yeah, when you hit it, it will direct you to the
Say 40.
data sheet for the A40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that might be new. I don't remember that doing that before.
I didn't find it. I haven't found it.
In the resources. So we recently we
So
should
you
have
to hit
some
resources
upgrades.
first, right?
Yeah.
And then
So
So
you hit the resources button, and then you go to the button.
yeah. So when you hit the default view will be here, and when you hit resource, so it'll be like a hidden interest.
And then you
Then
can
you
hit
click
click
here.
here.
Yeah.
we just have to read now. It's hard.
Mhm.
Reading. I like doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I think for this, that's all for my today content sharing.
Very good.
Thank you.
Can I look at this
Yeah.
new camera?
Yeah, of course. So one
Can't touch it though.
of course.
You break it, you buy it.
Yeah, so this is
Get the CTI credit card on you.
more
Yeah.
for the controller and more this
Just go back in and finish doing my
uplink. This
design
is the
request on the
Okay.
Yeah, so
fire.
The POS.
This is where you would get the NDI.
No, did he send one?
Yeah, it was small, but
That's the one for the Atlanta thing.
like $765.
Yeah, that's to go put a
Yeah.
sound bar
and the should be
onto a
this
cart
is-
that
this
we're
is
in
for
Atlanta.
and we have
I figured I could send Mylon over there from Birmingham to do it.
Hearings
Drive back and forth, that's what I'm thinking, put 6 hours or 7 hours in it.
Yeah.
NDA they pass.
But
Oh, NDI would be.
I
Just
emailed
have
him,
one of the-
I emailed him today asking
So
about that
if
along
you,
with all those,
Other one,
None of
service
it.
centers.
yeah.
Jason Bush. Is that a walkie tool?
Yeah,
Not working.
yep.
So you're telling me they've already put the new speakers up at Milwaukee too?
Yes, sir.
Even the new bighorns?
Yes, sir.
How quick, how'd you get them in so quick?
I got Katie to order them for me, and she overnighted them. And so we said about doing it on Wednesday, and we knew we were gonna be Wednesday,
So this is
Friday.
just connected
We
to your
ended up
computer
actually
directly?
Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
and
So
Friday.
USB
And so I
port.
got
So
those
it'll be the
big
same
ones in
USB
on
6.
Thursday
But not
and
this,
Bill did them for me
IP,
on Friday.
Camera.
How does it sound now?
Just
Bill says it sounds good.
Although the UVC.
So
I haven't heard it yet. I need to
Call Jamal.
Ask Jamal or Jamar.
This one will be
Is this
the
by
camera,
Kelly?
so it can
This is,
distribute.
Yeah, we can go
Friday,
around.
yes.
So
Okay.
let me have
And this one can be PoE as well,
John.
John.
Here we go. John's here.
Yes.
He can answer this.
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's already answered it for me, but okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
So
And this is the M call.
the design
Fourth
originally with the 60 or
Yeah.
75 watt, 75 watt.
Yep. And then they
I
They were
really
like, no,
that
we
you're
can't
doing
spend-
the
we, you know.
CTP
But we kept
25
the original
over there.
amplifiers. So
Yes.
they
I
had
like
in
that
room
touchdown
for it.
a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Now we're going
always
back
this
and
one
doing what we
is
told them we should have done on the
limits,
front end.
working
So did we
range.
go with the 60 or 75?
75.
Okay.
You gave me a choice of
Yeah.
both, and
Yeah.
and
It'll
I
be, that'll
asked
be,
you
with
preference. whatever, and you
BYOD,
said
once that's
75.
available.
So that's
75
what-
gonna be
because we
great.
can turn it down.
Yeah,
so-
single
So
USB
that's what I
connection.
went with, was
If
I
you
bought
get an
10
issue, so
75s.
instead of
Okay.
having to use the
And
power,
asked Bill to,
and the
That's all we
cost
needed
of
was
the
10.
fee for the pattern.
we may have needed more, I don't know, but
The pattern for
10
the
was
fee.
my
So
limit
this
as far
is
as
the
what I
only
wanted to
the
buy.
US market. We are
Okay.
not
Along with
listed on the
paying for the lifts
second
and
journey.
Right.
you
We
know,
shouldn't
kinda-
have to pay for anything, but it's worth the.
So you're saying the
keep a happy
BYOD,
customer.
Right.
that USB-C
So-
connection?
So I got
Oh,
Bill
that's-
to
I,
spot
So
them
CTV
and put them
25, like it has the
where we most
USB-C
need
connection
it.
with the Android.
Mhm.
Because we
But
can
it'll
put
be available
75s
soon
and
with
30s
the-
on the same
with
chain.
That's right.
Every soon.
Yeah.
Once they-
Because
when
it's
they-
tap 'em,
they-
however you
yeah,
want
it's
to
just
tap
how they're tapped, it is what they're gonna take.
Yeah, the-
I think those don't actually have I think
Switch
the horn
and
itself
connect
is
it to the
is
The
the
tap.
watt.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the transformer is in that.
That's cool.
Right.
There's not an actual setting or any kind of a additional wiring.
This
I think
is-
it's
the
just-
software is still
I don't think so. No,
developed,
no.
you can
I-
take
I-
this
I-
Those, I
function
believe what
system,
you're
we
doing.
need to move the
So you
file,
buy the
we have
horn
to put
itself,
the digital camera
for your
to capture
dispersion,
you, and
Mhm.
then
and then you're actually
Yeah.
buying the driver, which is the
working on
wattage.
that, so hopefully we
The
can
transformer,
go around
if you
with
will.
that.
And that, and we bought both, we got 10 of each of those,
Right.
okay, and put them up. But I had Bill take control of it as far as determining where they were most needed.
Say that again?
Over there in the space and replace 10 of the 30s that they had.
So this is the same location where they move racks around too,
That's
right?
exactly right. So
Is that what was driving this on this go round? Was the fact that they moved stuff around more and audio levels aren't quite there?
Well,
I would say that
originally we
maybe
were
in
having
the
trouble
visible
getting enough
rooms,
sound
the
into the
very
open
largest
areas.
rooms, I mean, 30 feet.
To the wide
The open
There
areas
aren't
was
many
bad.
conference rooms.
Man,
like
those
this.
areas with the.
But
with the-
between
with
shelving and things along those lines, that was fine.
fine.
But it was the big
I
open
think so.
areas. Then they
Now, I
wanted to
did
move,
see, I mean, there
I
was
don't know, about
definite
12
quality
racks from
difference
the
when you
back
stood
up
at
to
the
the
table.
front.
I
And
don't
we
know
had
if
to
that was just
relocate
software,
that.
if that was
I
audio
charged them for
synchronies.
that. I charged them,
Yeah.
but not as much as I should have, because we had to end up going back. It was supposed to be done in one move. They were gonna move the shelves, we were gonna move the speakers.
Image to speak.
D75s or something along those lines, John.
The wide angle camera.
Yeah, wide angle.
DR72.
So we make some.
It was something 75.
Hang on, I'll tell you in a second.
Jerry sent
So
me
that's
an
gonna-
email
that-
to
that
me
might
with
be
it
the
in it.
bigger,
So if you just look at your sent emails to me,
pro,
Jerry.
Yeah,
positive of this one. to
That's
me.
where this
I
thing
I
moves
saw a
around
pretty
so
significant
much.
improvement in quality when we, well, I
So
saw
anyway,
a drop in
Impression
quality when we
driver,
were
I
using this and
got
then
it,
went to
yeah,
that
it's the
one.
PD75T, that's the
easy to
driver.
tell.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty
And then
significant.
the horn itself is a whole nother.
Yeah. Is there still
Yeah,
just,
it's just a
there's
different
a-
part number.
is it just
Right.
one camera down here and they have
No,
some?
they have 3 cameras.
It was expensive. It was about $280 a piece.
Digital camera, but this one is the wide angle.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why I set my limit on this.
Are they the, kind of like the
That we would
A50,
do.
kind of has the 3 cameras?
Yeah, the CJ46 are the horns, and then PD68 T is in the PD70.
Yeah, they do have taps.
They do have
They
taps.
have taps separate for
Two
like
DC
2, 4, 9,
in
19, 38,
in the Memphis
and 75.
branch.
No,
Do I see what?
Like
I was thinking it was just a set.
sewers.
No, it's got taps on the
Actually,
back.
has taps on, okay.
Bill told me that made a world of difference.
Yeah, I think so. I think it.
Good.
Okay. And so Bill knows a lot more about audio.
There are
than I do as far
several
as
of our large
So
customers
in
are
the
just,
wide open area, are we getting
there's not gonna be any,
home
you know,
filtering
consideration
issues?
for
No, it
Microsoft
was
Teams.
just
either.
like-
Audios overlapping too
If there
much?
are Cisco
No,
overlaps,
it's not
so,
overlapping. It was just like,
But those rooms.
it was
Very
just
low
those rooms
volume.
That would be,
Just low.
if they were
It's just
Microsoft
low
Teams.
So we're dealing with
business,
physics,
this would be a good
not pushing
application,
enough
but it's
audio
not
through
being
space.
considered right
Exactly
now.
right.
well, the problem was, we thought there was gonna, and plus, we did think there was gonna be a lot more shelving in that building than ended up being. If it would have been all in shelving, we'd have had no problems whatsoever.
And so the way
Because
that
they-
we had originally landed them.
Sometimes, yeah, it depends on.
The way that we had
I know there's a lot of
originally landed them
variables.
was every other pole.
It really,
Okay, and the
I
coverage
think
and
it
time
depends
to
on how
overlap them
comfortable
and
they
and
are
grab
having
what we needed
technical
to do.
conversations
And
with
it
the
just
customer,
wasn't
depending
enough.
on
So
how
we still
complicated
are
they
doing
think
the
that
every
solution
other
is going
pole,
to
but
be.
Bill has spotted the pin in
Most of
there
the time,
into
they're
the
bringing
bigger
back
open
photos and
areas or
measurements.
whatever to make
and-
big difference.
Yeah.
So we
Jerry
didn't,
and I'll be putting together
didn't
solutions
move
based
those
on,
speakers, we just
you know, what
swapped
they
those
told
out.
us.
Well, we ended up, because we had already taken them down while they were doing this other thing or what have you, and they were ready for us to come back in and put them back up or whatever. the speakers did end up getting moved around.
Okay, so this was kind of a dual approach on this one. So we were already moving speakers, but we went ahead and added larger drivers.
What's your?
Well, we've yes,
Okay.
that's the way it is.
So,
Yes.
Okay.
there.
So going forward, placement
Jerry and
not being
I,
an issue, but more
we-
just a
we
level,
probably are
it's just a matter of
70 or
swapping
1%
speakers out.
on
Or if we already have
pre-sales,
the
so
right
we're
form in
designing
place, it's
systems
a matter of
based on,
swapping the driver out.
The request that
Yeah.
comes from the
Yeah.
salesperson.
And then we still have the
Scott
the
Bailey, I
heading
don't know if you remember Scott.
overhead
does
of
all-
wattage,
Right.
because
Okay.
again, this was spec'd in to be
I do
the 75 watt
30%
horns to
probably
begin with.
for
So
sales engineering. So
Yeah, and I think maybe,
and then
I don't know.
but that goes up
I might put
until
my
we
foot
have
down and
drawings
say,
of the
well,
scope
no,
of work and we
you
hand it off
don't
to the
use the
project
small
team,
horns.
programmers,
You use these
installers, and
others.
stuff. Take it.
Yeah.
And get the ones, the 75s with the taps, or whatever, because we can always tap them down if we needed to.
Yeah.
Now, if you had lower ceiling, like I mean, that building is
No,
massive.
Yeah, you-
we
you get a little
report
40-foot
technically to
ceiling
Tim.
over there.
I forget-
And in some of
I forget
those
Tim's
areas
last
where
name.
Up above
Director
the
of
shelving,
engineering.
we're there, but when we're not up above the
Maybe.
shelving, we're closer to about
I don't
20.
think he.
I think
26
in
is
most
off of the-
I
most
know
of these
Tim reports to Eric,
deployments we've
if-
done
if Tim
anywhere
reports
where
directly
it's
to
manufacturing
to
or
the CEO.
hacking
I have to
or
look up Tim's name.
anything
I'll
in
just
the warehouse.
Oh, so
I think they've typically led with 75 watt
engineer
horns.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we're talking about like
Yeah, that's correct.
a
And we
loft
have
area where we're trying to
we're on
cover this
meetings all
much
the time with
space,
Eric,
and then it
so
drops
even though
out
we
to
don't
the rest
technically report to
rest of the
him,
warehouse, and
you know,
yeah,
good
maybe they drop that down to 30,
Yeah.
with
and then the rest of it's still 75s.
Yeah, because
You know, Wideman doesn't
and,
recognize the fact
Josh,
that they ask for it to be value engineered down.
Right, yeah, it's very selective.
It's very selective memory on that. His thing is, why doesn't it sound as good as the other spaces, the other warehouses as well? You probably took the 75 watt horns in those other spaces. or what have you. And so now
That's
you
what I'm
asked for this
So
one.
that would
wasn't
be, that would
involved
probably be
in
Eric.
those.
Yeah,
try to
so from
value
a technical
engineer it,
standpoint, he's kind of the one who,
They just took
he's
what
the
we gave them.
gatekeeper for.
And so I
vendor-
explained to
vendor
him what my understanding
communication to the
was
engineering
that it was originally
Um,
designed with the
so yeah,
75s,
yeah.
and then it got value engineered
But I
down.
will say this, when we went back to Atlas and trying to value engineer, oh, this will be more than enough with the 30. So Atlas had some,
Had some skin in that game.
So here's the only one thing I will say about that is it's just my experience of dealing with Atlas and their design team is they're pretty adamant about getting DB readings
He's,
of the areas.
he's very busy. He's always doing things.
So
yeah.
we
I
assure
think
you
Eric is
that
your guy.
the waters
yeah,
that were
for-
pumped through the
I-
speakers
you know,
should
so
overcome the
I don't
noise
know.
floor.
I'm new
you
enough
know,
that I don't
space.
really know. Like,
So
where
I don't
I
know.
gave them
up and
DB
Tim would
readings
drop off. Do you know Tim who I'm talking about?
from another
Tim.
building that was louder than that building.
Let me see, Kirsting. Tim Kirsting.
Tim Christie.
They just want to get the sale.
So he's, I think, technically
Well, they did.
who Jerry and I
And they
report
got
to.
others.
They're
Yeah.
technically Jerry and I
Definitely.
report to
Well, you
John.
figured that was our guinea
John's
pig.
the
too. That was the
regional
very
vice
first one we ever
president.
did.
So
Yeah.
Was it? I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
that
As
was our
engineers,
first
we
one.
belong to the engineering group, which is managed by Tim.
So,
But
you know,
we're a regional resource.
I think we're good
So you
now,
also
but
report
like
to
I
John.
said,
Okay, makes
we
sense.
put in
Yeah,
a
that'd be great.
significant amount of money to bring it up to this the other day. So if we need
Yeah,
a few
so-
more horns here
so
and there, then I'm gonna have
Since
wide
the
to pay
joint
for.
area
Right.
is the best we have been working. So like the little
But you know, when
here,
you know,
Yeah.
like I said, I
Well,
think it worked out to almost $280
that's why I say I'm
Sounds
not
about right.
making
Stunning. And so, you know, we put in about $3,000 worth of speakers. plus,
$3,000 about their labor.
Well,
Lift.
$3,000 worth of lifts.
Yeah.
You know,
so
or at least $1,000 worth of lifts for the 3
We
days.
basically spent about 10K on it.
Pretty much. You know, I would say 6 to 10.
30 feet that we can provide to give you an idea.
You know, I used ACS and Bill.
Yeah, cool.
And Jamar knows it was done and all.
I'm gonna get back to it. It was a pleasure. Thanks for
Jamal was
taking the
their
time.
contact on site on both Wednesday and Friday, and he was gone on Thursday, but we still got in and got some extra work done on doing it, getting it on Thursday.
Great.
And the lift company.
Jerry, are you working on the Palo Snow?
Extra lift.
No.
No.
It wasn't for us.
That was
but nobody
that wasn't one of
claiming
mine.
it,
That's
so we ended
Britt.
up having
He's a
both
salesperson.
guys
on
on
it.
I know.
the
From the
knocked it
technical
out, otherwise we would
spec.
not have gotten
I
it
think
done
Scott took
in
that one.
3 days.
Scott?
period of time.
Yeah, he's not here today.
First day. we didn't
Okay,
get the lift in,
and because
so
last time we have the ZBC
but, you know, I saw a window and we kind of forced it. through.
860,
Mhm.
so we haven't finished the
But otherwise,
native control
I
from
was
the
looking at a
Zoom,
couple, 3, 4,
and
5
we're
more
trying
weeks out.
to learn if any other
Yeah.
opportunities we can help them to design. Yeah, I think for this customer, they will have a lot of opportunities we can help. So this is trying to
So when you
know
talk to you, buddy,
if they have the
I would
requirement.
say, yeah, you know, David's a little.
So you
slow
take
on
care of
close,
the
but you
Methodist
can-
and Lost
Yeah.
Cooperative and Horizon.
Well, I mean, I would say we collectively all support.
More concerned about
Multiple
the
different
performance
customers,
versus putting up two.
Kevin and I
Indian
are
sign
doing more of the
store.
pre-sale side. Scott does most of the post-sale, but we do. All three of us do post-sales as well.
Mhm.
So when it comes to the different customer bases, we may do a bulk of a certain customer, but
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
it does spread out between all of us. So
Mm-hmm.
I have done a lot of the Methodist ones though. Trying to think of all the Memphis projects that would have been.
Mm-hmm. Because Methodist is quite big customer across national.
Mhm.
So we are trying to see if any other site that we can also work with you and the breed to find some opportunities. And I remember last time I asked John, he said that you teams from the engineer's perspective that you can get a bonus when you hit the regionals, the market sales revenue.
Yeah, that's it's really a company-wide thing with all employees. So each office, it's called KPI, key performance as
Indicator, yeah.
So each office gets graded, so to speak, on that. So yes, like regionally, this office will hit it, but we all get a bonus depending on what position you're in. It pays differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it does. It's not made up in a way to where it's certain products or anything. It's mostly kind of based off of like sales margins, how we perform throughout the project, and our time that we spend on projects, all that kind of stuff. But there's not any program. There's no program out there for engineers, so to speak, that I know that have any kind of incentive programs with manufacturers directly. If that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, right. So it would be like, and last time we are trying to talk to Eric. So they say since the sales will have the incentives from the Eric, and we are trying to say, hey, we suppose like we also have some incentive program for the engineer from the Eric. But Eric is saying maybe not from the cash point, but he is trying to say if there's some like kind of some headset or something. The real stuff may be okay, but I'm trying to convince our company to say, hey, I find the value of the engineer in the project, so we can give them some speed to make them firstly can understand our product well. Second, when they are design the project, they can have a better design and then result in better have a customer experience. So that's the reason why I'm trying to then your care responsibility and how you design the solution and what kinds of the phrase you will be participant. So will you participate the project at a very earlier stage, like when give example for like Brit find there's the opportunity, will you go to do the site survey with him to do
Yeah, we do. And yeah, this typically kind of structures. It can go a couple different ways. So sales usually goes and finds the opportunity. So they'll meet with the customer and they'll have initial conversations with them to see, if they're needing a solution in place, what it may be. Sometimes they'll do the site survey there, depends on what the complexity is. Sometimes we'll do that. We'll still come back as engineers and also do a follow-up to look at a little more information or just follow up with the customer. There are times where they just have an initial conversation and then we'll go out together.
Yeah.
And, sales will talk with the customer, engineering talks with the customer, and we're gathering information on site that time as well. So it, like I said, it's usually one or two different ways. Either sales will do it all at the front end and then hand off the information and we'll take it from there, or we'll kind of go out together as a team, meet with the customer, get all the information, and then engineering typically takes it from there and puts together the designs and then passes it back to sales, and sales usually presents that to the customer.
That makes sense. So So when there's customer have complicated room like the visa room or large room, pre-large room like design. So who will take the call? Like which brands, which kind of solution will be used in this solution? Is you or the breeder say I would like to use the QCs, I would like to use the A-Link.
So it kind of depends on the salesperson, really. Some are more technical or up on the products than others, and some will essentially just say, "This is what they're trying to do. What do you suggest?" to the engineer. Um, and that's probably more so here that way than it is sales driven. I know there are some offices that have a lot of salespeople that'll just put together a design and sell it, and not necessarily get engineering support. And that's just again, it depends on the salesperson how technical they are, how much experience they have with that, but for our office, I would say we're heavily more engineer driven specs than it is sales driven.
Mm.
But additionally, I'll say that there are some customers that have standards that they like to use or standardized on certain things, which sometimes drives how we design it.
Mm-hmm.
We do have opportunities occasionally to suggest, different options, but with large enterprise customers, it's understanding that once they start standardizing, we want to push them to standardize because it helps them manage their systems easier.
Yes.
So there's consistency between spaces, especially with it seems like the support team at these different companies are getting smaller.
Exactly.
So they have very limited resources and time to support this stuff. So standardizing becomes really, really important. And then when you have these platforms that we can roll out that have support or remote support, right? So I know you guys have yours for your solutions as well. So that also comes into play and is thought of too, which I have personally dealt with some customers that have deployed multiple different standards throughout the years. So they start up this one manufacturer's remote support platform. Then they move away from that a little bit. Then they move to another solution, and then they roll out that manufacturer support.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're having 3 or 4 different ones. So it gets a little convoluted. You get 3 or 4 different platforms you're trying to manage at that point. But I don't know.
Okay.
Things change over years. Management changes, directives change. So just kind of have to go with that thought process too. But yeah, here though, I would say we're probably more on the engineering driven side.
Yeah, so that's the reason I'm trying to convince my company or convince Eric to say we can find some, it's not just give you some speed. I don't think that would be really large, but for you or for engineer can have that your values in the CTI to find hey I design the solution and find out they found the customer experience, customer success. So they're trying to do. So I think your ideas and your learning from you is really useful. And let's see if I can convince my company and Eric, we can have some program, especially this is engineer driven. They'll be useful.
Yeah, and I think addressing that with Eric in the upper management side is the right approach anyway, because they're going to be making all those kind of decisions anyway. But I don't know that there's going to be one engineer that'll say no to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Incentives to design and spec-in equipment. We as an industry are doing it for sales, right?
Yeah.
They get spiffs, they get bonuses based off of that kind of stuff too. So I have had conversations with a few manufacturers over the years. There's a projector manufacturer that did it and they rolled it out. I will say I don't know, I can't speak for every engineer, but I think when you're a salesperson, it's a little bit different approach. Like, you're already getting that mindset of bonuses, incentives, and just having that repetitive thought of circling back on it. But for an engineer, I think it's oh yeah, I forgot. I can go get an incentive, or I can go get some kind of spiff on this product, and then go in and actually have them go to a portal and documenting it and applying for it, I guess is the thing to say there, to recover, a spiff or a bonus. So again, that's just me personally. It's just like, oh yeah, remembering. So like having a program there to start with would be great.
Yeah.
But then remembering to actually go and recoup whatever it may be. I always just don't even think about it because it's going to be sales driven, right? So until you sell that product, it's not available.
Yeah.
But once you sell it, it's just again, remember to go back and be like, oh yeah, I can go apply for this fifth because we sold this, and there you go. But yeah, I think you have the right person to go talk to, or people to go talk to about that in mind. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the response is going to be.
Yeah. Let me try to find some ways if I can make it work.
Yeah.
And you direct report to Tim, right? Or you report to John?
So David is my direct boss.
Oh, David is.
Yeah, and then John would be our regional. So he covers Memphis, Nashville, Little Rock, Bentonville, and Birmingham.
5?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So he says he's going from meeting to meeting. Yeah, he's covered 5 offices. Yeah. So, and then as far as the engineering hierarchy go, I think Kevin was telling you earlier that Tim Kirsting is like our direct. He's our C-level direct boss that we report to, and then he and Eric will be kind of co-managing the engineering team, if you will.
Oh, so Eric and the team will be the same level.
Yes, they're both C-level. Eric is our CTO, technology officer, and then Tim is going to be our design officer. So, I would say they're technically on the same level. So Eric's really driving and pushing products, and kind of what we can feel comfortable utilizing, best relationships we have out there, kind of thing. And then, like I said, Tim is he's managing all the engineers from the, I guess, standard side of thing. Make sure we're all doing kind of the same stuff, and all going down the same path.
So which means that you have to report to David, report to Tim, report to Eric.
Yeah. So we have daily meetings with Tim and Eric, our daily huddles in the afternoon times, and then every Friday there is a morning meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That's some manufacturer that's presenting, or one of those Fridays Eric's presenting. So we do have that. Like I said, it's pretty much every day we're involved with that leadership at some level. And then we have our daily huddles here too that we all communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Memphis, from the make comparison between the Memphis and Nashville, I think it should have a lot of the probably like the same 50s, this kinds of product to be sold in the Memphis. So from your perspective, what's the market potential from the Memphis office? How many units that you can sell like this kind of the like sure or the same fit these kinds of the products on average each year, each month?
How many? I didn't catch that part.
So like it depends on the project, right? So like you have 10 projects. So on average, each month, there how many same 50 or same the shoes M920 they can be sold?
Oh, it really depends on the project. I don't know that I could break that down into a month. It'd probably easier to see year to year how much of that we've sold versus the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate because we don't have a steady stream of orders coming in, nor standard of the design coming in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the wide range of different customer types and use cases that we have that we're designing and selling on range from a K through 12 market, which is just school systems, educational, higher ed, which is college, university, to you've seen the Methodist, so healthcare / corporate, and then corporate. So it kind of depends, but it'd be easier to look at a year to date comparison of how many we sold in this market during that period of time as opposed to a month to month. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to answer that one.
No. Just that because this is the new model and the X98, this will be a new model. So it's
Yeah.
easier for me to convince the team. So hey, we would like to make the product to market, so we can get easier to get a incentive program.
Yeah.
So easier
Yeah.
to understand. Oh, I have to tell the market share, how many that the boss can decide. Oh, we have so many opportunities that we can get.
Yeah.
Then we should put some resources to help, no matter from the sales, no matter from the engineer. They can be first, know the product. Second, they will be comfortable to know our products. After that, you feel that from the design, from the quality, you say this is okay. I'm confident to design with the product. That would be the better for the new product to go to market.
Yeah, and I think you pointed out. I mean, the CM50 it's a Dante microphone, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if we use it with y'all's DSP or another DSP. It
Yes.
doesn't matter. It's just a Dante endpoint, right? At the end of the day, same thing with the ceiling speakers. They're Dante endpoints. So really pushing that point would help because then it would be maybe this engineer or the salesperson is not real comfortable with the DSP platform, right?
Mhm.
But it's a microphone, but spec wise is equally or greater than the competitors. Price point wise, it's better. So I think driving with that key point of it being a Dante endpoint to start with, and here's the additional advantages you can get with the microphone over the other guys, right? Then it's okay, so instead of deploying this one, we can deploy this one, better price point on front end, maybe some back end incentives that helps drive the, maybe sales is pushing, hey, let's put Link's CM50 in as opposed to Shure MX8920.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as far as reporting back on the potential pipeline, I'm sure a conversation with like an Eric or somebody can pull information to see how many we sold of your competitors' microphones to see like here's what it could be potentially in the next year.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Eric is also a really good right person to understand that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that could help you kind of build a pipeline of what you could potentially expect with the comfort level of the CTI team understanding that these new devices can easily be swapped out, equal or better than the competitor's product, right?
Yeah.
And Eric does a pretty good job. He had once a month was updating this PowerPoint where he does kind of quickly identify product lines and kind of use cases for them and advocating the use of them. Again, it's all, I believe you guys have worked with Mike, I think you mentioned earlier, Crutchy and corporate to kind of test bed some of this stuff. So once it goes through that process, then it's okay. Mike's, we're good. This does this. We can do all this with it. Great. And then it may roll into Eric's presentation of, hey, we tested this in house. It's good to go, guys.
I gotta go.
Okay.
I'll shoot you an email, and so we can set up maybe like a remote, just set up like a video call with each of those customers once we have everything set up, maybe sometime next week.
Yeah, so and then now in device. And next Monday will be the video, and the Tuesday will be Combos. Because we also have, you also have an office there. We are going to do demonstration and presentation. It may be within the noon time. So it will be better in the afternoon time. If we can set a meeting in the afternoon time, it will be better. Okay. Because then I have a free time to do that.
I'll send you some options. You just let me know what works best for you.
Sure,
Okay.
no problem.
Alrighty, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, I gotta